Hey guys, I'm the Burke and I do things, and I have not sat down and filmed a video in about a month. There's no one specific reason why, but I decided I needed to just go over a full list of things that have been happening in the last year or so that just like haven't been brought up and talked about because it all kind of culminated in the last few months, and there's things, and I've been procrastinating this video. I have a cold right now, so I have been procrastinating filming this video because my nose is constantly stuffed and I'm constantly blowing it. So we'll see if I can make it through this video. My voice is a little bit better than yesterday. I have a full list of notes right next to me going over everything I wanted to talk about. I feel like the story might not make sense. I tried to like order it in the way that made the most sense to me logically, but it does like jump back and forward in time and everything. Basically, if you want to know what's been going on and just watch me use some makeup, a lot of this is Project Pan stuff I'm using. Some of this is new stuff I'm still trying out. Other stuff is just random old stuff in my collection. And yeah, let's just do this. Let's go. I will say a lot of this story, the origin starts the beginning of last summer. So the end of May, Scott's younger sister got married and the three of us were in their wedding and we got COVID at the wedding. That sucked. What sucked more was I had a lot of more long COVID type of symptoms that even I couldn't explain for a while, but about, I want to say 6 weeks after we got COVID, I started having significant hair loss, like worse than anything I experienced postpartum. My hair was just falling out of my head anytime I brushed it, to the point where I now have a middle part because I used to have a side part, but I just like am missing. I like lost so much hair like right around here that I had to change my entire part to make up for the lost hair situation. So that already was not great. But on top of that, I put on 10 pounds. Now, this isn't supposed to be like a weight related issue. Like, I don't want to like trigger anyone, but basically the amount I weighed before getting pregnant, I pretty quickly went back to that specific weight. And I consistently have been that weight like since before pregnancy, after pregnancy, until post-COVID. And it started around the same time as the hair loss. And I did like a lot of research, like trying to figure out if other people were experiencing the same symptoms, because I was finding the hair loss information online, but I really never saw anything. And I thought it was crazy that I just like one day, like it wasn't one day, but it was very progressively went up 10 pounds. Like I've never done in my entire life. And it wasn't like any lifestyle changes, any diet changes. It was just like overnight basically. And I was like, what is going on? It made me miserable. It was so uncomfortable. Nothing fit. And like, I didn't know what to do because it was like, I didn't do anything to have this happen that I know I can undo to undo that. Like it was very frustrating. So that was all around the end of last summer that all kind of happened. I don't know. I feel like that situation just like put me in a bed headspace, and I'd already been in a bed headspace because like I'm overwhelmed with life right now. And then in February, this is just the most luxurious way to put on foundation, Phoebe and Scott both got sick. And it was my birthday week that they got sick. And Phoebe's not an easy kid. When she's sick, she's like a level of difficult that's like impossible to help. I really, really hit a breaking point that week because it was like, I felt completely helpless. Like there was literally nothing I could do to make her, not even like make her feel better, but like help her, because she wouldn't let anyone help her. It was really bad. I would say I had a full mental breakdown, especially on my birthday. That night was probably the worst night we've ever had with Phoebe ever. And that's saying a lot. And like this cold wasn't even that bad. Like neither of them ever ran a fever. Like it was just like a basic, like kind of what I have right now, just like a common cold. And it was that bad. So at this point I was like, I think I need to bring medication into the game. We're gonna talk about that now. I called my OBGYN and they basically said they couldn't give me medication because I was due for an appointment. So I scheduled an appointment. I have not been to a doctor of any kind since my 6-week postpartum appointment, which I think was actually 8 weeks for me because I think there was a snowstorm and it had to get postponed. I am not known for being the person who takes care of themselves, and it takes a lot for me to pull the trigger to call the doctor. That's just how I am. I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but that is how I am. There was a point when I did try to have an appointment with my OBGYN in 2022, because I just want to make sure I include everything. December 2021, the week of Christmas, so Christmas 2021, that week of Christmas, I had a migraine that lasted the entire week. To this day, the worst migraine I've ever had. I called in desperation saying I needed to talk to the OBGYN because I had never in my life had migraines before having Phoebe. And I called them and they set me up with a teledoc appointment, but that wasn't even for another 2 weeks. So that was going to be in January. It was the week after Phoebe's first birthday party and it was all set, teledoc appointment set up. Until one of the most scary moments of 2022 happened 2 weeks into the year. Scott essentially woke up one morning and he couldn't see out of one of his eyes. We have briefly, I think, talked about this on vlogs, but one morning Scott woke up, could not see out of his eye. Fortunately, my mom was here that morning and I was able to take Scott and drive him to an eye doctor. He was able to find someone who was able to like see him immediately. And this doctor said that they couldn't explain why Scott couldn't see out of his eye and that potentially he was having like beginning symptoms of having MS. So they are telling us, you might have MS. You need to go to Will's Eye emergency room in Center City, Philadelphia, and you might need to stay for 3 days to have tests run. This is a lot of things to be thrown at a person. This office was right next to basically my parents' house. So I drove to my parents' house. I told my dad, I need you to drive Scott to Center City. I need to drive home and meet mom and help her with Phoebe and like maybe get the house ready to have Scott in the ER for however long. But first, Scott had to drive back to my house and pack bags because they were telling him he was gonna have to stay at this hospital for days. And it was very scary and like we were shaking, like being told he might have MS. Like we were so scared. And then an alert goes off on my phone right after he leaves saying, your teledoc appointment is right now, which at this point had completely slipped my mind. The last thing I was able to talk about at that point was my migraines. I can't even remember what happened at this appointment because I was hysterically crying through it. So they probably thought I was like losing it because I didn't know what was happening. I couldn't even explain to them what was happening because I didn't know what was happening. I just said we were having a medical emergency in the family. But I basically explained like the migraines were the worst during my period and they said it could be affected, but it could have something to do with your birth control. And I'm pretty sure they were like, oh, why don't we stay on your birth control, see what happens. When I tell you, I really don't remember what they said. I really don't remember what they said because I was in such a state of panic, completely blacked it out. Scott wound up not having early symptoms of MS and also did not need to stay in the hospital. He basically has an issue with a blood clot in his eye. He still can't fully see out of it anymore, but it's not MS. Anyway, so like my 6-week postpartum appointment and that teledoc appointment are the only doctor's appointments I've had basically since having Phoebe. I did have the 1 2-week appointment where they check your incision too. So we'll call it 2.5. Anyway, I went to go to the doctor. I wanted them to prescribe me Lexapro because at my 2-week appointment, they had prescribed me Lexapro for postpartum anxiety. I had taken it once. It had made me so tired. I couldn't help take care of the baby and it freaked me out that I didn't take it again. But I was like, I'm in a place where I know I need the help and I know that there might be a couple bad days of symptoms, but I can get through that at this point in our parenting experience. The other thing was, okay, let's do another. This is like why the story's bouncing back and forth. I wanted to be put on Lexapro and I wanted to be put on a new birth control. However, I had been off birth control since, I want to say about March last year. It was like whenever my prescription ran out, we made a decision not to renew it. 1, because I felt like it was affecting my migraines, and 2, because we wanted to start trying to have another kid. I don't even know if Scott has told anyone this, but there were many months where Scott and I were actively tracking ovulation and trying to get pregnant. Never happened. But we got to a point, I forget when it was. It might have been some point late summer, early fall, when we just took a step back and said, you know what? Maybe we are supposed to be a 3-person family. That's kind of where we are right now. And that's something we're coping with. And we're still trying to like figure out how that works for us. But I wanted to be put on a birth control different than what I had previously been put on because I felt like since going off of birth control, I wasn't having as many migraines. So I was attributing to the old birth control I was on, but also I wanted my periods regulated. I wanted my acne dealt with. My acne came back with a vengeance because I was off birth control and they gave me something. I don't even know what I'm on. I mean, I've only been on it for a month now and I feel like my acne is kind of clearing up, so that part's working at least. And I'm on 5 milligrams of Lexapro and you know, it's helping a bit. Who can really say, I can't really say if it's like you know, working miracles right now, but I do feel a bit better than, you know, than I was feeling in February. But something I will say is, I have no idea if it's related, but when I started Lexapro, immediately those 10 pounds I gained after COVID, I lost. Again, no lifestyle changes, no food intake changes. It was literally like, again, the same exact way that I gained that 10 pounds, I lost that 10 pounds. And I have no idea why. So I'm very confused in general about the weight situation, and like, was it always gonna come off? Was it because of COVID? Was it stress? And then like Lexapro relieving stress took off the weight. Like, I have no idea what happened. And if I think too hard, it hurts. The two of us have struggled a lot this year. This year has been incredibly difficult for us. Having a 2-year-old is not for the faint of heart, and having I believe she's called a highly sensitive child, it's even harder. She requires a lot of hands-on from everyone. It leaves very little wiggle room for us to have time to be us. So that includes things like sitting down and filming videos. You know, it's hard. It's hard. It's been so hard. Like, making videos makes me happy. Honestly, like, one of my favorite months is December because I love Vlogmas. I love making videos. I've really been enjoying making vlogs lately. It makes me so happy. I get excited to film vlog clips. Editing them is so exciting. I don't necessarily always have to just listen to my voice draining on, and it's been so fun, and it's a way to get Scott involved, and like, we have our podcast together, which, you know, is fun for the two of us, but I think there's a lot more eyes on our vlogs than our podcast. A long-term goal for us is to be able to make a video version of our podcast, like be able to sit down and have like a filming setup for it. Right now, we don't have the space to do that. Ideally, we're going to turn this office into a double office, and the office that is currently his office into a place where we can have cardio equipment, but also potentially have a place to sit and podcast. Because right now, we just sit in our open basement across the room from each other. It's not, there's no way to film it. So that's potentially on the radar. You know, it's been so difficult. It's been difficult balancing taking care of ourselves. It's been difficult balancing taking care of a toddler. It's been difficult balancing taking care of our marriage. It's just, everything has been very difficult lately, it feels like. We're exhausted. I'll say we get more sleep than we were a year ago, but we're a lot more physically active, I guess you could say, during the days than we were a year ago. So it's like, you take some, you win some, you lose some. We just have no time. I feel like we have a long list of things we want to do, and we're always prioritizing, well, what's the most important? What's the most important this week? What's the most important that week? And, you know, it was hard for me to find time to sit down and film this video, even though I know it's probably going to take me 30-ish minutes. It's hard for me to find 30 quiet minutes to sit and fully focus on one thing. You know, honestly, I wanted to film this video 3-4 days ago, but, you know, I got sick, and I was like, oh my god, it feels like the world is working against me at this point. Like, I wanted to get this out before, like, I do like my month-end empties videos. I have a video that I filmed last month that is about a new series I want to start on my channel, but I felt weird to just like blast that in the middle of not posting for a full month. So it's just like, every step forward feels like 2 steps back, you know? Also, I honestly feel like I am in this spot with my channel where I'm in a rut. I enjoy making my vlogs so much. Like, I get excited to edit them, and you know, I really love doing my empties videos. I love my project pan that's coming next month. I love doing my inventory that also will be coming next month. But I feel like I'm in such a rut, and I don't know how to grow out of that rut, because, you know, YouTube wants you to niche down. Like, that's their thing, niche, niche, niche. And I will feel like I'm being suffocated if I am put in a niche. I just want to be me. I just want to be me and do the things that I do. And I don't want to feel suffocated by niches. So I am my own worst enemy, basically. I also have 0 interest, like maybe less than 0, if that's a thing. Less than 0 interest in doing short form content. I see no benefit in it to me. I don't think that it's bad that short form content exists, but I don't think everyone needs it. I don't think it's for everyone, and I don't think everyone has to do it. Just like I don't think people who do short form content need to do long form content. I think people can do what makes them happy. And I think a lot of the platforms want you to just do what they tell you to do. And I'm not somebody who likes being told what to do. Sometimes it feels like creating content is like, do you want to make things that make you happy? or make things that make you make money. And like, I choose happy. I would prefer happy. Although as much as I would like to make more money, which I barely make any, I choose doing something that makes me happy. I don't know if making this video was like really overly hyped in my head, but it's been so much over the last couple years and it's not always like fun to talk about. And like, even like when I went to the doctor and got prescribed the Lexapro, they're like, well, we can give you this, but like this can only do so much. Like you really should consider therapy. And they gave me like a list of therapists and I was like, these therapists say like $125 a session. Like, in this economy, sure, it would be great to be able to afford therapy, but that's just like, it's not possible for everyone. I actually just finished a book that was written by a therapist called You Should Probably Talk to Someone, and I loved it. I feel like I got a lot out of it too, but I don't know. I've taken 2023 to get back into reading. I've already read 2 books this year, which is 2 books more than I've read the last many years. So that is something that I'm doing for me, is I got a Kindle and I'm reading again. Trying to do things for me, which it can be hard. I'm sure I overhyped this video in my head. I hope maybe you got something out of it. Hopefully I'll be back making content besides just vlogs. Like I said, I have my empties coming up for the end of the month, project pan updates, inventory updates, also a new series I'm going to be starting. Anything else you guys are looking forward to, let me know in the comments. And yeah, that is it for this video. As usual, thanks for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, click the subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I have my Instagram down below. Give it a follow, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys!